This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Dignity Memorial, caring for our communities with a network of funeral homes and cemeteries in Virginia and throughout North America. More information about Dignity Memorial's providers is online at dignitymemorial.com. Alpha Natural Resources, an energy company dedicated to respecting the land. Alpha Natural Resources, we power the world through the energy of our people. Haley Buick GMC, the place for a new Verano or Terrain Denali, in Richmond and online at haleybuickgmc.com. Everywhere there are lighting poles, there's one more opportunity to save money. Intelligent Illuminations provides cost-effective wireless lighting solutions for roadway or area outdoor lights. Kanawha Valley Arena, Virginia's cowboy town, hosting an array of events from Civil War reenactments to diesel truck pulls. More information online at virginiarodeo.com. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community, working in legislative, regulatory, and political arenas to promote the free enterprise system. So what do you do? Information about getting involved in advanced technology careers, making everything from clean energy to life-saving medicine, is available at dreamit.doitvirginia.com. Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.
Welcome to This Week in Richmond, and a welcome back to two people from the Sorensen Institute to talk with our viewers about what's happening now. And let's remind our viewers right from the beginning, Bob, we were talking about it earlier, we're having the conversation before the election. Our viewers are seeing the program November 8th and on later the following week. So we're not really talking specifically about the election because we don't know, as we sit here, who's been elected. But Bob Gibson, the executive director of the Sorensen Institute, April Auger, program director, we're delighted to have you back and to explain to our viewers what they need to know about the Sorensen Institute, and then encourage some people, if they have not applied, to apply. There's still a window of time. So Bob,
we are recruiting for next year's programs. Our 10-month program starts in the middle of March and runs through December. And we'll have political leaders from across Virginia and their community, people who are interested in making politics work, people who are interested in reaching across the aisle, getting to know how the other side feels, and so Democrats can work with Republicans and Republicans can work with Democrats. And it works. It's a program that introduces folks to each other, and they visit 10 different regions of Virginia, one region a month for 10 months, and learn the issues in those regions and learn about each other and learn how there are things the Democrats and Republicans still have in common that they can work together on.
April, what's the deadline for people to apply for this year?
So for the Political Leaders Program and Candidate Training Program, the application deadline is going to be Monday, November 11th by midnight. That is a pretty firm deadline, especially for our Political Leaders Program, as it is, as Bob mentioned, it's our flagship program at Sorensen, and it is our most competitive. Our Candidate Training Program, which is a 4-day intensive program that helps candidates who know they're running for office it teaches them the nuts and bolts of running an ethical campaign. It's very intensive. This year we'll be at Carter Hall, which is in Clark County, close to Northern Virginia. We do sometimes a rolling deadline for the candidate training program, but for the Political Leaders Program, the deadline is Monday, November 11th.
Okay, so some of our viewers are seeing that right up against the deadline. So is that postmarked by then, or online actually, isn't it?
It is. We have an online application. It's fairly simple. There are a few essay questions that do require some thought and some effort, but as long as their application is submitted by midnight or 12:01, we will accept it.
So for viewers who are seeing this on Friday evening or on Sunday morning, there's time, if they'll take the time to do the essays and complete it, to get considered. So we're hoping to make your job a lot more difficult and have more people applying, because you usually have a tremendous number.
We do. We have a good number of folks from across the state, from every region of Virginia, apply for the program, and we get a good balance in each program. A good balance of Democrats, Republicans, Independents, a good balance of Northern Virginians, Richmonders, people from Roanoke, Charlottesville, out in the Valley, and Norfolk. We've had wonderful recruiting receptions so far this fall in Norfolk and Richmond, and we look forward to a bumper crop of great applicants and choosing a great class for next year.
Now, I've looked online at your some of your graduates of your candidates program, at least the most recent ones, I'd say. And I noticed that those were some of the same names of people running for office this year. So while we can't say congratulations, because we don't know which ones have won, I understand there are a significant number of members of the General Assembly that have completed the programs, and others who are vying for office.
There are. Currently we have 22 alumni serving in the General Assembly. We have hundreds that serve on boards and commissions, and several that are that have been elected to local offices. And Bob, if you want to speak to the ones running currently.
Well, we have 22 members, 11 Democrats, 11 Republicans in the General Assembly right now. They're generally younger members from all over the state, several from the Richmond area, several from Northern Virginia. And we have another 5 to 6 running for different legislative seats in the House of Delegates this month. Some of them will get elected, some of them will stay leaders in their communities. Most of the folks in our 10-month program do not ever run for political office. They are just leaders in their community who are involved and want to better inform themselves and work with other people so that they can build a network of friends and supporters and people who they understand and people who understand them around the state.
So there's no requirement that you be in one program before you do the other, because I'm sure you have some that have done both the political leaders and the candidate program.
We do, and we have folks who are going into the candidate training program years after they've been through the political leaders program or one of our youth programs. The college leaders program, which is open for next June, the high school leaders program, which is open, and now we're taking applications for that for next July, and the emerging leaders program, which we will again run in Williamsburg and Richmond in August. So we'll be taking applications through March for those programs.
April, Bob spelled out the names of those ones, but tell our viewers a bit more about those other programs that have later deadlines.
Sure. So our college and high school leaders program are residential programs that are housed at the University of Virginia, and they run for 2 weeks. And as Bob mentioned, the college leaders program is in the summer and the high school program is in July. And it's a really good program for, as we like to refer to it, a political boot camp. But again, that Sorensen experience where they're building relationships with students from all over Virginia and learning about the various policy issues here across the state. And then our Emerging Leaders program, which takes place in August, and it runs for 8 days throughout August, and it's heavily policy focused as well, and age range 22 to 32. Most of the participants have either worked in state and local government or worked on campaigns, and again are very involved here in the political environment in Virginia.
I was trying to help a friend from the southwestern part of the state who wanted to be a page, only to discover that he was going to be a little too old when the session convened. So a program like you're describing would be excellent for someone, a high school student.
Absolutely, and we do see a lot of pages that come.
Do paging first.
They do.
Yeah.
They're page first, and then they come to the high school or college leaders program. So yes, that would be a great opportunity for them.
Yeah, excellent. Now, our viewers may be wondering why I'm promoting Sorensen, and this is the second time you all have been on, but let me make a statement, then you all amplify it, if you will. I think from being an observer around Capitol Square, there's a great deal of need for people to work across the aisle, and that's part of what you ingrain into people in Sorensen, right?
It is, very much. We're a unique program because we, unlike other leadership programs that are run from the left or from the right, we consciously try to involve equal numbers of folks from both sides, from all sides really. We have plenty of independents in our program as well. And they learn to understand each other. Democrats don't become Republicans or Republicans don't become Democrats, but they become familiar with the other side, the way they think, the way they approach issues, and they can find common ground with each other, which is something sorely needed and missing in our political process right now.
And so back then to the high school and the college level, is it starting them in that same mindset?
We like to think so. We've seen our graduates of both the College and High School Leaders Program go on to do some great things, whether they're interning or in the General Assembly, or some of them are legislative assistants in the General Assembly. And Sorensen graduates really build a network, and we have over 1,500 graduates across Virginia, and they are a very strong network. And people do expect things out of them, and people do expect them to work together if they are a Sorensen graduate.
Programs unique to Virginia. Are there any other states that have developed anything at all similar, Bob?
There are a few. There is one in North Carolina that is a little bit older than us. We are 20 years old. We're just fresh out of our teenage years. We're maturing
Yes.
as young adults
Yes.
in our program, and there are very few. There's one that they've tried to start in Massachusetts. I know of one in North Carolina. We were visited by representatives of universities in Texas and Wisconsin that wanted to start Sorensen-like programs, and I hope they've been able to get those off the ground.
You know, you annually have a big gala, and I don't know how you're going to top the one you did in 2013 when you had every living governor there, current and past governors, and so you've got a challenge coming up for 2014.
Well, what we do every year after a gubernatorial election year is we have the new governor, the new lieutenant governor, and the new attorney general. So they will be our speakers. They will be invited to be our speakers, and hopefully they'll join us in May, in the middle of May, in downtown Richmond at the convention center. And we'll have another wonderful gala with the new statewide elected officials.
Well, that's a good way to top it. And to those that, again, by the time our viewers are seeing this, they know who those people are, but they may not know them as well as they'd like. And by participating in that gala, they learn more and also get to help support Sorensen at the same time.
It's one of our major fundraisers. We have a budget that we have to keep replenishing every year. We are located at the University of Virginia, but we're not taking government funds. We have to raise our own money. And that's one way that we do that. So it's very effective as a fundraiser to have top state officials who can speak about civility in politics, about bipartisanship. There's a general feeling around Virginia that we don't want the broken politics of Washington to completely move 100 miles south and take over Richmond. We really want Virginians to have a government that functions, that doesn't end up in partisan gridlock all the time, and we don't have to. So there are many people who support our mission and who like to come to the gala and hear from their elected officials.
Now, some of our viewers are probably wondering, would I really qualify for applying for the program? If they had that conversation with you, and you've had some of those conversations with people that you've met at recruiting events, what would you tell them, April?
We do have that conversation often, and sometimes I think it's a misconception that people have of Sorensen that if they're not planning to run for office that they won't apply. But as Bob said earlier, many of the people who participate in our programs will never run for office. But if you are involved in your community as a community leader or a leader in your school, or you're interested in learning more about Virginia politics and state and local government and the policy issues and how they affect your day-to-day life, you're qualified to apply for Sorensen. And we love the thing that's wonderful about Sorensen is having that diverse applicant pool from all over the state. And so I think the more that we have and the people that are interested in Sorensen and the more that apply, we can continue to have the diverse programs that we have.
You have a board that certainly is diverse, and what the chair of your board, the former Lieutenant Governor Hager?
John Hager, yes. We have our board meets twice a year here in Richmond, and they're very involved in keeping our programs going. We added a new program, the Emerging Leaders Program, just a couple of years ago. So we're looking to keep all 5 of our programs strong, and the board helps us a great deal in doing that. They end up helping us recruit individuals. You know, wonderful community leaders apply for these programs, and they never consider themselves, many of them, candidates for anything. They're just leaders in their community and their nonprofits and their businesses, and they're great folks to meet and to carry around the state. In Southwest Virginia, we go down a coal mine, and in the Newport News and Hampton, we visit Fort Monroe, and then we go to the Port of Virginia, and then we go out to the ocean front, and we learn about the transportation and other issues that are big in those regions of Virginia, and how broad and vast and different Virginia is.
We want to make sure, maybe it's already been up on the screen, that we keep that website up as we end this time soon with you, so that people can go to the website, can see the main page, and then they can check on where they can make applications as well. So before our time, though, does end, I think you indicated before we started taping the show that at least in one House district, there are 2 graduates of your program that are running. Is it only in one House district where you can guarantee that there will be
I think there might be another one in Virginia Beach. We have several of our candidates in the Tidewater, Virginia Beach area who are running on both sides of the aisle, and I think 2 of them are opposing each other. And in Stafford and Prince William County, Delegate Dudenhofer and his opponent, Mike Futrell, are both Sorensen. It's not unusual to have 2 Sorensen candidates running against each other, and they tend to be better campaigns. I mean, they don't tear each other apart the way some campaigns end up.
work more on the issues, we would hope?
Well, more on the issues and more on where they want to take Virginia in the future, and not just the constant pounding in TV ads that we've seen in recent campaigns.
April, anything else that we should tell our viewers?
Just that the application deadline for the Political Leaders Program and Candidate Training Program is November 11th. And if our viewers are seeing this after the deadline, of course, they can always apply next year. And if for any questions that they have, they can call Bob or myself.
Okay. April and Bob, thank you so much for being on, and we hope our viewers will act on what they have learned.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Welcome back to This Week in Richmond. This is David Bailey, and I'm in the guest chair for this closing segment. I'd like to talk with you for just a very few minutes about the upcoming session of the General Assembly, the 2014 session. You know, it convenes on the second Wednesday in January, and that time will be here sooner than you think. So in the meantime, to be better prepared for the session, I would encourage you to go to the General Assembly website. We're going to put that address up on the screen so that you can see it. And when you go to the General Assembly website, it has the tools that you need to be better informed about what's going to be happening. One of the links that you will see is for members and session. The session and members part, the link, the little block that's up on the top left. When you click on that, and we'll show you a screenshot, but you'll need to see it on your own computer or your own handheld device, you'll be able to get the General Assembly calendar. And when you get the calendar, you will find that there are some very important meetings that will be taking place in November and in December of this year, 2013. You'll see the dates for the House Appropriations Committee annual retreat, followed that same week by the Senate Finance Committee retreat. You'll see all the other meetings that will be occurring of the different committees. And that's very helpful and very useful information as you prepare for the 2014 session. You also will see when you roll over into December and look in the calendar that there's a time when the governor will be presenting his budget to Senate Finance, House Appropriations, and House Finance, the joint money committees meeting here at the Capitol. And yes, you heard me correctly, the Governor McDonnell, will be presenting the budget. That's one of the unique things about our Constitution, about the way business occurs. The outgoing governor presents a budget, and he will unveil his budget publicly on that day in a presentation to the members of the Monies Committee. It's an open meeting, but I tell you right now, unless you get here early, you'll not get a seat, because that room is always packed when the budget is unveiled. When the General Assembly convenes and starts acting on this budget, then the new governor, the governor-elect, whomever you, the voters of Virginia, have chosen to be the governor, because you see, I'm having the conversation before the election, so I can't call the governor-elect by name, but the governor-elect will be sending amendments. House and Senate members will be filing amendments, and the 2014 session will be the big budget session. There will be plenty of other issues, but most of them will pale in comparison to what will be happening in wrestling with getting a budget, always a balanced budget, a budget that passes both chambers, goes to the governor, and the governor agrees with the budget. And that process will begin in early January. Well, in fact, you know, it begins in December when Governor McDonnell unveils the budget, and then it will go on until April in the reconvened session when the budget's finally acted on. In 2014, there will be a new Red Book, as they're called around Capitol Square. And the Red Book will have contact information for members of the House and Senate, as well as for the 3 statewide officials. It will have information about the committees, who's serving on various committees. And we'd like to, this year, make a very special offer to you, the viewer, particularly if you're outside the Richmond area, to get one of these Red Books. If you're in the Richmond area and you come to the Capitol, to the General Assembly building, either one, you'll be able to get one. They're complimentary. But if you're outside of the Capitol and you need to get one sent to you at your home, it will be sent from This Week in Richmond, compliments. We're offering that complimentary Red Book to the first 100 of you who will send an email, and you send the email, and we'll put the address up on the screen. It's TWIR for This Week in Richmond, TWIR at capitolsquare.com. And so you'll get your 2014 Red Book sent to you at no cost to you because you are a viewer of This Week in Richmond. Let me also tell you that in the closing weeks here of 2013, we'll be inviting other members of Virginia's congressional delegation to come on. We're delighted that we've already had a show with Congressman Bobby Scott, and we will be inviting others to be our guest, as well as inviting those who will be a part of the new administration and those who will be a part of the new General Assembly of Virginia. We know there will be at least 12 new members of the House, and there may be more depending on what has happened on Election Day, and whether incumbents, any of them, lost their seats to the challengers. So we invite you to send an email to TWIR at capitolsquare.com and get your complimentary copy. The 2014 session will be a critical one, and legislators, your delegate and your senator, want to hear from you, and we hope that you'll be contacting them. And by the way, there will be at least 1, if not 2, new senators who will be elected in special elections, elections that the governor will name the time, and that vote will take place potentially toward the latter part of December, and a special election for any of the 3 senators who are running for statewide office. As many as 2 of them may certainly be elected both as Attorney General and as Lieutenant Governor. So thank you so much for being a viewer of This Week in Richmond. I hope when the program ceases that you'll take just a moment and you'll watch again those who make this program possible, those whose gifts underwrite the program, from individuals, from businesses, from associations, and we thank them even now as we thank you, our viewers, for once more watching This Week in Richmond. This is David Bailey, and I look forward to being back with you with some real guests the next time.
This Week in Richmond is made possible in part by Dignity Memorial, caring for our communities with a network of funeral homes and cemeteries in Virginia and throughout North America. More information about Dignity Memorial's providers is online at dignitymemorial.com. Alpha Natural Resources, an energy company dedicated to respecting the land. Alpha Natural Resources, we power the world through the energy of our people. Haley Buick GMC, the place for a new Verano or Terrain Denali, in Richmond and online at haleybuickgmc.com. Everywhere there are lighting poles, there's one more opportunity to save money. Intelligent Illuminations provides cost-effective wireless lighting solutions for roadway or area outdoor lights. Kanawha Valley Arena, Virginia's cowboy town, hosting an array of events from Civil War reenactments to diesel truck pulls. More information online at virginiarodeo.com. The Virginia Chamber of Commerce, the voice of the Virginia business community, working in legislative, regulatory, and political arenas to promote the free enterprise system. So what do you do? Information about getting involved in advanced technology careers, making everything from clean energy to life-saving medicine, is available at dreamitdoitvirginia.com. Additional support is provided by these sponsors. And by the members of Virginia's public television stations. Thank you.